All right, welcome to Buddy Book Club. I'm Dylan, here with my half-ophobic crewmate, Keith. What's up, buddy?
The what now?
Half-ophobic. You're not familiar?
No, enlighten me.
Dirty Hands. Dirty Hands is half-ophobic. Doesn't like to be touched.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that was the technical term for it.
Yeah, and that's correct, right? Wouldn't you consider yourself somewhat half-ophobic?
Don't like to be touched?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that.
All right, well, here at the Buddy Book Club, we're breaking down some bestsellers, and this week we're headed to the Grishaverse and diving into Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. If you'd like to recommend a book for us to read or reach out to us about any past episodes, you can visit our website, buddybookclub.com. Actually, there's great content there as well, so definitely check it out. Or sign to our DMs on Twitter or Instagram. The handle there is Buddy Book Club Podcast. You can listen to us on iTunes and Spotify, so please download and subscribe. So like I said, we're doing Six of Crows this week. It's pretty much about a cohort of wily teens that endeavor to get rich by capturing a scientist from one of the most impenetrable places in the world.
The Rock.
Yeah. Well, there is a point where Inej climbs up the tower. They're like, how are we going to get out of this place? And I was like, please tell me they're going through the furnace. Like, just, you got to get the timing right, you know? And they pretty much did. They went through, like, the stack as opposed to the rolling through the furnace, Sean Connery style.
Well, we do have a reader email that alludes to another movie about that very scene, so I'll save it for that.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm excited. Well, let's get right into it then and jump into some stock up, stock down. Six of Crows, stock up. What do you got?
Stock up kickboards. So, okay. I'm not sure how familiar you are with kickboards, D-Man. Have you ever partaken using one of those? I was a mediocre swimmer back in that day.
Yeah, I mean, I learned how to swim at the local YMCA.
Okay, yeah, so you use kickboards.
Yeah, of course. Whenever you had the kickboard, though, there was already, like, someone that had used it earlier in the day, and it was, like, spongy.
Oh, yeah.
And stank like chlorine, and sometimes you get the one that it was kind of chewed on. A child was on it or something.
Yeah, that might just be the wear and tear, but yeah. I also found them to be quite edible, so
they were reprehensible to me. But go on, what do you got about kickboards?
I didn't care for them. I wasn't a big kicker in my day. What I did find in this book is that they are very valuable in terms of saving lives. So,
oh my god!
If you recall, Kaz is we're starting off dark to start. Kaz's brother and him get thrown into the bay or whatnot, and with all these dead bodies, and the only way Kaz is able to go out is by using his dead brother as a kickboard to kick his way and float his way back to the dock. So, yeah, I never thought that would come in handy, but kickboards and Kaz's dead brother, stock up.
Fairly genius by him. I mean, although, using the bloated body of your brother is fucked. But, yeah, that whole scene was just crazy in general, where it's just like a floating barge of dead bodies. I mean, you can only imagine, the setting of this book is Amsterdam, pretty much in the, like, Dutch shipping era. She does a good job of, like, bringing stuff from the past, but also, like, kind of blending time periods. But there is some truth to it. But obviously, with that comes disease and plagues. You're in a port city. So I like how she worked that in there in terms of how Kaz, aka Dirty Hands, got his origin story and also his name. But yeah, that's fucked up. You just see, like, the lights of the city. It's like, all right, the only way I'm getting back is if I grab this body and use it to float myself back. Ugh.
Pretty dark. It is kind of funny. There's definitely a lot of YA elements in this book, and then you have, like, that. Or you have, like, him at some point, like, breaking a guy's arm off.
Hey, don't step on the lead. My first stock up, YA novels.
Okay, there we go.
No longer are fun little novels featuring innocent young folk the focus of YA. Now you can have these bloated bodies, or you can have a teenager eye gouging another person. Like, Kaz just gouges that guy's eyes out in front of everyone. It's like, wait, what the fuck he gouges one eye and threatens to gouge the other one if he doesn't give him information. It was like, oh shit. So, I mean, we have this. I feel like Red Rising was pretty graphic, wouldn't we say?
Yeah, Red Rising was not a YA book. I don't know how that gets thrown in there.
I mean, I feel like the mark to go past it is like, oh, this is fucked up, is like Ender's Game, where there's like fights and shit like that. There are like broken arms and stuff like that, but it's never...
As you recall, though, Ender's Game in most YA books, my biggest pet peeve are when they start whining, which this book didn't really have a lot of that at all, which same thing with Red Rising. I just hate when they're like, everything's bad. I'd just rather than be like, let's go kill everyone. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, there wasn't a like, woe is me vibe. It was a pull yourself up by your bootstraps vibe. I mean, there was a lot of like Oliver Twist-ish elements to this.
Please, sir, may I have some more? Was that,
Yeah,
was that Oliver Twist or is that
I do anything. It is that one, yeah.
Annie? Is that the same thing?
No, different.
But similar?
Yeah, same, but different. But, it was like, no one's going to do it for you. You got to do it for yourself. And that's what it's like in the barrel. That's what happens. So, yeah, YA books. You keep it like this, I'm going to support it. What else did you ever stock up?
Rallying cries, stock up. I mean, they're already pretty high. You got and I'm sure I'm going to miss a lot, but Clear Eyes, Full Heart, Can't Lose. Where are you, D-Man? Where are we here?
I actually thought our audio went out.
Jesus
I thought
Christ.
our audio went out.
Oh, I
was
thought you were
on
going to
it.
finish me off. Okay.
Oh, well, hold on. That's for later.
Yeah. You always finish me off, so I don't know what you're doing here. We Are Marshall, All for One, One for All. I know there's just a bunch of these rallying cries that like they stick with you.
Braveheart, so good.
Yeah, that's not. I feel like that's not like a saying that people can. Like it's not repeatable. Like I like something where it's like, all right, we're going after this. It's like, get money.
Yeah, you got me
something.
thinking.
Get rich or die trying. Something like that. Like something good. But their one I really actually liked as well is no mourners, no funerals. I really like that saying, and it's just like they're like, all right, boys, let's go get it, or girls, let's go get this. No mourners, no funerals. That always got me amped up. Anytime I heard them say that, that just means you're about to get action, So big stock up for rallying cries. Not that they needed it, but I'm a big fan.
Which one resonates with you the most?
Clear Eyes, Full Hearts, Can't Lose is by far the number one, and that's from Friday Night Lights. For those I don't know,
if you haven't seen Friday Night Lights, it's Thanksgiving weekend. Go binge it.
It's more YA than this book.
Oh so. Yeah, but it's a good show. It's not like a CW show.
No, it has some CW elements. Let's be
Of
honest.
course.
But I mean,
I'm not.
Honestly, everyone in the show you want to bang. That starts to matter. I also watched it when I was younger. If we watch it now, we'd be like, oh, those people are like 16.
Yeah, exactly. Check yourself before you wreck yourself.
You remember Jennifer Love Hewitt? That was my number one when I was growing up.
Yeah, Can't Hardly Wait.
Yeah, so I rewatched Can't Hardly Wait, and my girlfriend looked up. She's like, yeah, she's 17 in this. You still think that? I'm like, damn it.
Wow, good for her. Acting at 17 like that. Her acting chops are great in that, so I'm just saying.
Yeah, I just respected her as an actress.
I mean, you could say Ghost Rider or something else that she did later on.
She did Ghost Rider?
Not Ghost Rider, Ghost Writer. Ghost Writer.
Nick Cage, kid?
My next stock up is negging. So, for those not familiar, negging is the practice of giving backhanded compliments and generally making comments that express indifference towards another person in attempts to seduce them. Jesper negs hard on Waylon. I'm surprised Waylon didn't pick up his ball and leave during the whole forming of the crew situation because Jesper just wouldn't give him a break. And also, Waylon's got a lot to offer. Why are you shit-talking this dude? Yeah, he might not be the best demolitions expert out there, but the guy can draw. He's like a Picasso. He's a wordsmith. He's a linguist. He's got it all. Waylon, instead of calling Jesper a total dick and just not being interested, he's like, all right, Jesper, let me see that.
It works.
let me see that pistol you got. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, good for them. Good couple. I think I'd be down to have them at a dinner party.
I like that. I see a lot of myself and Waylon as well, just in terms of not being able to read, and also, no, that's it. That's the only thing.
Well, and you being from Wayland, which is very close to Wayland.
Of course. Yeah, there we go.
I also kind of like the name Wayland,
Yeah. I don't like the spelling. You got to do the real spelling there.
Or Wyland. Is it? Wait, it's Wayland, right?
It's Wyland.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. Did you not listen to the audiobook?
I did, and I'm just stupid. Stock down. What do we got? Six of Crows.
Con men, stock down. Yeah, I know we've talked about con men a lot. I kind of love me some con men. I love the con game.
Our stock's high on con men.
Wrote a blog on it, but what happened to Kaz's brother is literally my worst nightmare. If that happened to me, I just would not be able to recover mentally just because I wouldn't be able to get over getting one up to like that or one over like that, especially if you think of yourself as someone that's, can sniff that stuff out. That type of shit would be my worst nightmare. It really would be. And it kind of reminds me of what I did with the stock market this year. So that's also that, where last year I was like, oh, it's up 20%. I should just put all my money in it. That's basically what the con men did to him. It's just like, oh, now all your money's gone. So don't do that. Same thing with betting, where I've been betting well, and then I actually put money onto it, and I started being terrible. So that's how it works. Everything's a con in this world is what I'm getting to.
All right. Well, I got so much to say. One, get out of my head because our stock downs are way too similar. 2, did you do this whole stock market push like after the whole COVID, everything ramped up? So you like bought in at the highs and now they're low.
I was like, all right, I got to put more money into the stock market because I just have it all in my savings account.
Yeah,
it's getting
same.
deep. But
no,
anyways.
I'm there with you. I get it.
Yeah, so I put it in last year. I don't even look at shit. I just put stuff in and I don't look at it. I come back at the end of the year doing taxes. I see it's up 20%. I only put a small amount in. What am I doing getting 0.05% interest in my bank account? Put all of my money into it. Just looked at it. I'm at negative 16%. So
okay, that's not too bad. I did that too. And like as I was saving up to buy my house, wasn't paying rent because I was like living at my parents' place. I was putting in $2,000 a month into the stock market, and it was just like going up. I was like, oh, this is great. This is free money. It's free, literally free money. And now I looked back, and it's literally all of that money is just gone. It's like the South Park episode. Put my savings account in the stock market up, and it's gone. It's like, wait, where did it go? It's like, no, it's gone. One of my stock downs is playing the stock market. You know, what we're alluding to is, you know, Mr. Hatsoon gives the insiders tips to Kaz and Jordy. And hey, it's a good con in the sense you give them some small wins and then you make them drop the load on you and then you just pick up and leave.
Sounds like my Friday night, but go on.
Yeah, but I was confused. So is this Mr. Hatsoon? Is that Pekka Rollins?
Pekka Rollins, yeah.
Oh, okay. So
that's just his like alter ego.
Because I kind of thought that Pekka Rollins was younger, but obviously Mr. Hatsoon would have to be older if he was like playing this person. But I mean, I'm with you. I don't even know what I would do if I got conned like that. But let's also talk about Kaz here. It's like after that point, he's like, 1, my whole focus in life is revenge, which we love. We love any character that's just like focused on, I don't care about anything else besides
singular drive.
Absolutely screwing this guy over. And even at the end when he like it turns out he saved Pekka Rollins from like the prison cell because he wanted to like fuck him over on his terms. The Fjerdans can't do it. It has to be me.
This is like you're playing Mario Kart in the dirt path racetrack and someone lightnings you off the jump and you just say, okay.
Yeah.
Every single thing I'm doing now, I'm holding the blue shell until you're in first. I'm doing every single thing I can to fuck you over now.
Yeah, I'm parking with my triple red shell, and I'm waiting for you to come by me.
Yeah, exactly, which I respect.
But the only thing is at the end of the book, so he does everything so far to like, he's always got the backup plan. He's always one step ahead. But then it seemed kind of like the last plan. Nope, that's actually not the guy's kid, whatever the scientist name's kid was. It's actually Wylan. And then he still gets fucked over, but also he's like, you wrote all those nice letters to your son, but is that enough to think that he still won't kill his son for literally the most important drug or whatever in the world? Like, this guy's an oligarch, builds power and money, and obviously not down with his son anyways. It just seemed like a weird insurance card to have Wylan, who is kicked out of his house pretty much.
Well, they weren't giving him anything.
They need to get the money though. How are you going to get out of here with your money? Because that's the whole point. Every Italian job, trapment, all that stuff. It's like, how are you going to get out of here with the money? And it just seemed like he wasn't prepared. There's actual like magic going on in this Grishaverse. And you don't have any of that on your side really. So how do you think you're going to get out? It just seemed like it wasn't a great plan by Kaz.
Good. Jasper's 2 pistols. We're good. We're fine.
He's got a rifle too. But yeah, it seemed like he was like, oh, how did I miss this? How did I get fucked over? It's like, bro, how did you
I
not
can see
that?
the merchant-centered thing, or the merchant council thing. That's basically like you're getting the sign-off from the government. So the fact that they would turn around, he just thought that was official business.
Yeah, but it's a shady government. I don't know. It seemed a little crazy. But my other stock down, because we were already talking about it, was gambling. Because, you talked about your bets. And, maybe it's not for everybody. Jesper, he has to join in on a life-threatening heist just to pay off his own gambling debts. I mean, I want to take a quick minute just to talk about bankroll management. It's a pretty simple premise. If you can't afford it, don't get into it, right?
I think we're talking about addictive.
Oh, I understand.
If you can't stop doing cocaine, you should just probably, stop doing it.
Well, yeah, I understand. And if you do have that with gambling, listen to any football podcast, and there's 5 minutes of ads at the beginning for the Kansas helpline, the New York helpline, every single friggin' helpline.
That's really, you think, the solution?
Yeah, of course it is.
You're addicted to meth? Just listen to the commercials about it. Jeez, what's wrong with you?
Well, for starters, in general, Jesper wouldn't have gotten this hole if he just had a little bankroll management, play what you got. It's real money. It's hard-earned money. Don't go and just start blowing it playing 3-card Monty. Have a little angle. He's also just a terrible card player.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Yeah.
Is like, he doesn't like take an ego hit, which you need as a gambler, where you just have to sit back and say, why am I so stupid?
Yeah, I respect that he does own it, though. He's just like, you know what? There's not a card game I don't want to get into.
It gives him that feeling of, it's basically a drug for him, which...
Me too. I was betting on the World Cup nonstop since it started.
Well, we're deep into it. We know those things. Yeah, we're researching it, so...
I'm only down 3 figures this week. What else did you ever stock down?
Stock down, shit rolling downhill.
Wait. Okay. So shit rolls uphill? Is that what you're saying?
Oh... Yeah, I'd much rather have shit rolling uphill. That's how the Army does it, right? You complain. Remember the famous Saving Private Ryan scene where he says, "I don't complain down, I complain up."
No.
So you guys complain to me. You don't remember this? It's basically Tom Hanks. We never hear you complain about shit things. And he's like, "That's not my job. I complain to the people above me. You complain to me. I complain to them. They complain to the people uphill." Like that's so everything is uphill complaining. But shit rolling downhill. So Kaz, after he survives the bay, he gets out and he's like, I'm going to do whatever it takes. He goes to like a gambling den, the lowest rung, and he's like, hey, give me a job. They're like, we have a kid that does, all this shitty work here. And so he just goes and fucks up this kid. He just like makes it so he can't walk to work.
Cuts his feet with glass. Jesus.
Yeah, I was like, Jesus Christ. Kind of a cutthroat way to do basically what someone just did to you.
No,
to
it's
them.
a cut foot way.
Yeah, well, good point. Couldn't he think that kid that he just did that to is now going to do the exact same thing that he's doing to Pekka Rollins? All right, I'm going to fucking ruin this guy's life now.
Well, I think it says more about, I might be getting too deep here, but I think it says more about like a societal picture of how people on the bottom tend to fuck each other over and the people on top stay on top. It's people scrambling over each other to get to the top, but the people at the top are fine.
I like that. That's
I don't know
deeper.
if that was intended, but also just the fact of like, how do you grab someone and just like, you tickled someone's foot like a child or something like that? Like they're wily as fuck trying to get out of there. You start stabbing someone's foot with glass, like that's dark. That's some fucked up shit.
I like Kaz.
I like Kaz a lot.
Sicko.
I also, in the first scene when they're like explaining Kaz, like, oh, this guy walking in with his cane, I pictured Gandalf. Like, I was like, this is a super old person.
Yeah. Well, he's Bill Belichick. He just keeps everything close to the vest, doesn't tell anyone his plans. He's like, hey, you just do your job. Don't worry about me. I'll do what I do. You do your job. That's all he says.
Yeah.
Yeah,
good point.
He's a do your job guy.
Plans for the wind in the fourth quarter so we can get the punt return.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Kaz also says, I love puzzles, but trickery is my native tongue, which... yeah, some people might say that about Belichick too. I wouldn't, but some people might say that.
Hey, bend the rules, don't break them.
Yes, exactly.
Quick editor's note here. Previously, I said the Jennifer Love Hewitt show was Ghostwriter. I guess I was yelling loudly because I got a text from the SGF who said it is actually Ghost Whisperer. The Ghost Whisperer is
sounds wrong.
Is the name of the TV show.
Yeah.
Ghost,
that can't be a show.
Ghost Whispering Eye. Yeah, no, it's a terrible show where she basically like writes to ghosts or something. I don't remember. It was so bad. But she's in it.
She's good looking. So
yeah, if you're 13 and you're in a pinch and this is pre-internet, Ghost Whisper. Favorite scene, what do we got?
I think one of my favorites was the dock fight, which I just didn't see that coming at all. And that kind of really set the tone for the whole book that, hey, anything could happen. Anyone could get injured. Anything could happen at any point, right? Whereas I feel like before that, it kind of had the traditional kind of arc of like, okay, we're getting the crew together. Here's the mission. Here's the thing. Now we're going to go off that journey. It's like, nope, now's a big battle. You're like, wait, what the hell? Like, where did this happen? So there's...
Are you talking about once they get out and they're going to their ship?
In the beginning of the book, they're going to the dock to get to the boat.
When
and they get in this huge firefight. Yeah, all the heroes should be on the boat, ready to go.
Yeah.
And the problems start when they get there. This is like already things are falling apart. You never know what's going to happen, which I really like. That kind of set the tone.
It was a little bit of Usual Suspects. Have you ever seen that movie?
Well, yeah.
Yeah. So, when they go to the boat, it's like, oh, they just got to like capture this guy or whatever. And all of a sudden the boat's blowing up and shit like that. It's like, oh, they knew we were coming.
Well, that's the climax of the movie, but yeah.
Who is Kaiser Soze?
Yeah.
Okay. I thought you were talking about at the end when they're like getting off, because I was like, okay, that's classic book where like everything kind of works out. But then Nina pretty much turns into Phoenix from the X-Men.
Yeah.
And just like levitates off the ground and starts crumpling things and killing people. So yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. It was my favorite scene, and I knew when they said earlier, which I appreciate a little leading, whatever they call it in the literary world, where they said like, oh, you don't necessarily get addicted off your first dose. I was like, oh, Nina's definitely taking a dose at some point. She's going to get dosed up. Stock down drugs. Yeah, just stay away from them.
We'll just try it once. That's okay.
Yeah, actually, yeah. Maybe that would be the stock down. It's like whatever the messaging is of this book. It's like, if you just do heroin once, it's fine. That's what Six of Crows taught me. My favorite scene, and I thought it was kind of a runaway, I was surprised that you didn't mention it, was the Hellgate prison break to free Helvar. Because it has a bit of a like Star Wars Jabba's Palace vibe to it. But instead of like a Rancor, they're fighting some of the world's most deadly animals. I mean, this jail just seems wild. We thought the Rock was cool. Like, this jail seems absolutely absurd. It's just... they get their inmates to enjoy privileges.
It's like Gladiator.
Yeah, but they have some level of agency. Like, it seems like they don't have to do it if they don't want to. But if they want to, they can sign up to go into the gladiator pit with animals, like the world's deadliest animals. And it's not like real Gladiator in real life where they just like fed inmates to animals. Okay, you verse a tiger and you have a stick. It's like, wait, what? It was, they had the choice to go in and they didn't know. They spun the roulette wheel. Talk about gambling. They spun the roulette wheel and whatever it landed on. Also, Inej killing that like crazy monitor lizard giant thing was awesome.
Yeah, that was savage.
So I just thought that whole prison break was cool in terms of it shows who Kaz is and like how he can get these plans together. And also, I just pictured this as like this cavernous prison. I'm going to keep talking movies here, but did you ever see Man in the Iron Mask with Leo?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the kind of prison I pictured it as. Just this like weird dungeony, super dark prison, but in the middle there's this fighting pit. And I can only imagine as an inmate, because one, I'd be like, all right, I don't need any things from the commissary. I don't need any ramen noodles. I don't need TV time. I don't need conjugal visits. Like, I'm just going to watch. I'm not here to...
And you're going to betting on the side,
yeah,
of course.
Bet on the side, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm not putting myself out in the football world to get concussions, but damn, I'm going to sit on my couch and have a beer and enjoy it. So
you'd be one of the rich guys that went to watch those.
Well, I'd be a prisoner for sure. Due to my gambling and drug addictions like we previously talked about.
Yeah.
Also, the name Hellgate for a prison. The Rock is good, but Hellgate Prison... pretty dang good. Like, might be better. Might be better. Hellgate. Let's pick our characters. We got a nice crew here. We got Kaz Brecker, a.k.a. Dirty Hands. We got Inej Gaffa, our Suli Wraith. We got Wyland Van Eck, born with a silver spoon in his mouth that his dad seemingly beat him with. Likes to blow shit up. Matthias Helvar, our surly Fjerdan Druskala. Nina Zenik, Grisha Heartrender, who's a sucker for a good waffle. Jesper, who's a Zemini sharpshooter, can't stay away from a 5-leg parlay, just like us. Loves a good 5-leg parlay. And also has a touch of the Grisha in him. He's been touched. He was touched by the Grisha. So I figure your favorite character has to come from the crew. But if it doesn't, I'd be fascinated.
No, I liked all the characters. So it was really hard to narrow it down.
Even Helvar?
Helvar, I think, comes around. He's kind of like, what's the name from American History X? Where you start to like him by the end.
Edward Norton?
Yeah, Edward Norton. Where you're like, okay, I can see how someone can...
This racist isn't racist anymore.
Well, you can see how someone could be brainwashed early on in life where it would impact them. So you almost feel empathy for that.
Yeah, and I think I'm going to get into this later, but This book does such a good job of giving us an understanding of how upbringing and circumstance has so much to do with people's personalities. And I really think at the end of the day, it kind of tells you, like, give everyone an extra bit of rope, or, you know, think of everything with a grain of salt, whatever kind of terrible thing I'm trying to say. What are those things called?
Hang yourself with rope? I don't know what you're saying.
Give someone a break. You know, the idea of, you don't really know what their background is. You don't know what their mindset is. If you're meeting someone, they probably have something interesting you could learn from them, kind of thing, as opposed to just judging a book by its cover. Matthias Halvar was kind of a little too straight edge for me.
That's fair. That's fair.
Couldn't have a laugh. Not a guy I want to have a laugh with.
Well, I went with my boy Jesper. I think I already alluded to him. I just like the cut of his jib. He's super sarcastic. He's just someone you'd want to hang out with. He seems like happy-go-lucky, and then he loves a good fight. He loves to gamble. My type of guy. Yeah, I just seem to like what he was bringing to the table. Side note, I know we've talked a lot about gambling on this, so I'm sure that's gambling and book crossover. You know, the indexing for that is very, very high. Is that the word, index?
I don't know, but the word I was thinking of earlier was idiom. That's what I meant to say. Yeah.
Side note,
we're dumb.
Beginning. They have a parlay, which is a meeting, but they describe a parlay as a deceptive engagement, which I'm like, that's correct. That's what parlays are. They are deceptive.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
What about you?
I'm probably so fucked in the head right now with gambling stuff, considering it's football season, especially now when it's Thanksgiving, like maybe the best gambling week of the year. And if I rewatched the Pirates of the Caribbean, when they're like, I demand parlay, I'd be like, yeah, parlay, 4 legs, let's go. What do we got? Come on, mix in some moneyline dogs in here. Let's get that juice up. I'm with you. I think Jesper was my favorite. And I think we lean this way in general when we're judging favorites, but he just seemed like the best hang, you know? Everyone's got a lot of baggage in the crew. But he seemed like his baggage, he was at least like laughing about, where no one else really was, you know?
Everyone knows it's like a blood oath in order to do, like, kill or do something. He's just like, kind of just.
He's just like I'm about to lose both of my pinkies to some gambling hall, whatever. So I better do something because I got to get back in there and play some 3-card. Just sort of seemed like a good hang. I think, like I said earlier, him and Wylan make a nice couple. And I'd like to have them over for a dinner party. Just leave your guns at the door, please. And explosive devices. No explosive devices in my house. Let's jump into love-hate. Keith, we're talking about Six of Crows. What'd you love about it?
I really liked all the characters, like I said.
Buddy, get out of my head. Seriously, get the fuck out of my head.
They all had deep backstories. They're all likable, even though I think most books, even if someone's not flawed or is just too perfect or too much of a superhero, I just don't like them immediately. But all these people had flaws that made sense. They all had a certain upbringing, a certain way of thinking based off of that. And they were all shaped by that. Really, really appreciated that. A couple other ones, just Nina dominating Matthias in the debate. I really like that scene. I don't know if you remember, but he's like, you guys don't deserve to be on Earth because you have like these powers. And she's like, you mean, well, like, what about you guys? You guys are weak, like, pieces of shit. You guys deserve to be on Earth. Like, maybe we should kill all of you guys off. It's like, that's a good point. She's making a better point than he is. Why would we kill off the people that are not as strong and they're weaker and not as good as something? Like, what? That doesn't make any sense. Her argument makes perfect sense.
If there's one thing that it seems like is not okay in the book is like just zealotry, you know, just kind of like following something blindly because it's part of your religion or part of your culture or whatever.
Unless it's a sports team, but yeah, go on.
Sure, if it's something innocuous that doesn't matter, then why not? Who cares? You know, you're not hurting anybody unless you actually are being.
Well, I'm stabbing anyone that's a fan of their team. But other than that,
well, it's funny because they showed that NFL game in Mexico on Monday night, and the different sections were like caged off. And I was like, what the fuck? Why is that? And I realized, this is a soccer stadium in Mexico. So those guys are like Green Street hooligans. Fucking, we're like 20 movie references deep. But these people will fight each other, you know, for pride of their own team, which I would never do. I mean, I love the Patriots, don't get me wrong. But if there was like a Jets fan who was like, fuck the Patriots, I'd be like, yeah, man, whatever. All right. I don't care. Does not bother me one bit. But yeah, the zealotry stuff just doesn't fly. unless it's something that doesn't matter. But I'm with you. Like, one of, my first love here is the crew. I mean, the different perspectives, because, all the characters are quite diverse. The interesting part is because the way that she writes this, with it being different perspectives, it's not told from third party, it's not from one person's perspective. You get to understand how the diversity of the cast and their life experiences matter to them, how they see things differently, because the same thing's happening to everyone, but you see them differently. And I think bottom line, it just tells you, I feel like if there's one message here, it's just that perspective matters.
Yeah.
You might have the same ultimate goal, which is like to get this money, get that bag, boy. But the way you go about it and the way you approach it and think about it is totally different, because people are different, and that's something that should be embraced. It came across just so naturally and in a fun way. It wasn't like preachy or anything. It was just interesting. I have a question for you. What do we think about this world building situation, like the Grishaverse, Ketterdam, the different nations, that kind of thing?
I'm not sure how familiar you are, but this was basically books that were written after she wrote the original Grishaverse books.
Oh, I didn't know that. No. Well, there's Shadow and Bone, right?
Yeah, so she wrote Shadow and Bone, which
exists
in the Grishaverse universe.
Yeah.
So, like, she references a lot of areas that were initially written about in that book.
Yeah, we got Ravka, Fjerda, Shuhan, Kirch, Novi Zem.
So I read that book after these, and for me, I didn't really like them as much. You definitely don't need to read those to read this one and understand everything. So, but I really thought the world building was great. I was wondering, because this was my second go, and then I'd also watched the TV show. I was wondering if as your first time reading it, how you saw those things. Did it like instantly kind of make sense for you, or was it like catching up?
Yeah, so it didn't make a lot of sense for me. I felt like I was coming into a world that had existed that I was still trying to catch up with. There was things that were referenced that I was like, wait, what? Like, what's the Wandering Isle?
But a lot of fantasy books do that.
No,
though.
and
like,
I get it.
Like,
totally.
I don't know what this place is.
And that's what we love about fantasy in general, is that then you can dig deeper. And so when I realized, like, oh, this is just part of a whole different like series of books. Like, this is like Rogue One. If you just saw Rogue One, you'd be like confused at like, wait, what is this? And it's like, no, there's this whole Star Wars universe. Like, you got to dive into it.
Well, Star Wars also leans heavily into the past stuff. So you almost couldn't watch like half the Star Wars stuff without seeing the originals.
Yeah, well, I hope that's the case. Yeah, like you should, because the OGs are great. But I did feel a little behind the eight ball when it came to like this, because they kind of just say places and then like move on, because it wasn't about that. So, especially when it came to the Grisha situation, because they're like basically witches. There's like three orders: the corporalky, the etherealky, the materialky. And I was like, and then within each of those, the magical powers are the abilities, whatever, are like tons of them. So I was very confused as to like how that worked, which I figured we get more in the other books. But at the same time, it didn't take away from it. I just, if anything, it made me be like, maybe like I should get more into this universe. So I thought it was a cool setting. It wasn't fleshed out in this particular book.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think maybe because I've read more on this, that it just, I went on the reread, it was much more enjoyable, because I didn't have to, it just kind of clicked, oh, that's that. I didn't have to think about it as much.
Okay. Well, what did you hate about it?
I think I mentioned I already thought it was a little bit more YA than I remembered it being. Red Rising, because I read this and Red Rising around the same time, and I was like, reading's the best. This is awesome, because they were very good YA books. But this one was a little bit more YA. Red Rising was a little bit less than I remember, but it was still great. I will also say, and even though this isn't a hate, it's actually a like, that there was a lot of more love than I remember, but I actually liked it. I actually thought it added good elements to it. I don't remember Dirty Hands being so like in love with Inesh in the first book.
So you're saying this because I'm sorry, this is your second read of this book. You've read this book before, because I was like, wait, Red Rising, we read that.
Yeah, I read it a couple of years ago when I first read Red Rising.
Okay, cool. So you don't remember Kaz being like, Inesh! Oh.
Yeah, he was definitely more lovey-dovey. I mean, outwardly, if you were showing it in the show, which they already did a show on this. But
We'll talk about that.
outwardly, he looks. You would think, oh my God, this guy has no emotions. He doesn't feel anything for anyone. But yeah, that was it. Again, not a complaint. I think it was just second reading. It was a little different.
Well, just to touch quickly on that, I thought the Nina Matthias relationship was a good way to approach a relationship in a book. It wasn't over the top. Obviously, they cared for each other greatly and they had different viewpoints. It was used as a vehicle to explain other things as opposed to just being like a focus, which I appreciated. In terms of my hates, I mean, I like the book, so I didn't have a lot to hate, but come on. Seriously, come on. The crew is all between 16 and 18, and I know you have to grow up fast on the mean streets, but these guys are all at the top of their game at like 16 and 18. I mean, Kaz came out of, his floating brother, climbed up the ladder into the barrel, and in 5 years is... like, it's like he did the Matrix download. Like, he's just like the greatest fighter, the greatest con man, the greatest card player. It's like, oh, you're 17 years old. He's 17. Like I said, I know you got to grow up fast, but how fast can you possibly grow up?
The age complaints don't make sense to me. You see that one time. It's not really reference other than that he's just younger than like the mob bosses.
Everyone's 16 to 18 in the crew. Everyone.
But I don't
He's
think
a
that,
demolition
who cares?
expert.
What if you said there are 30, Like,
Sure.
that's what I'm saying. When I read it, I don't think of them as 17. I
But
just
he
think
is
they're
17. That
30.
doesn't matter whether you
But
think
who
of it.
cares?
I'm just saying.
I mean,
Jesper-
Game of Thrones, they had like 4-year-olds that were banging people. So I don't know, like, were you worried about it in that?
That's not Game of Thrones. That's the guy from Subway's hard drive. All right.
There's a clip for the kids.
But
classic.
Jesper's a perfect shot. It's like, how do you do that? Like, ammo costs money.
He's naturally gifted. That's why.
Yeah, I guess so. So everyone's super. The only person that I kind of get is Inej, where she has like the Dick Grayson Robin from Batman. For those
for those
that are interested, where she like grew up as an acrobat. Like, she has that background of like, oh, okay, like she's basically a born ninja. Like, she has been practicing since she was 4 years old.
I mean, you don't think Kaz has put his 10,000 hours in? He like started going to the gangs when he's 9. He's put his 10,000 hours in.
Yeah, but like, how many fights can you get into? How many people's feet can you cut?
Would it change your opinion if he were 12 when he started doing that and he's now 30? Like,
Yes,
again, what is like...
It would.
But what does it matter? But it has nothing to do with the plot. There's the age gap, or the age, them being that young. Just say that's fantasy and they're actually 30-year-olds. The sun goes around this earth in this fantasy world at a different rate. Like, what does it matter?
It doesn't. The age itself doesn't matter. Just the amount of time to like perfect these skills.
That's why I read it as like they're 30, and then it doesn't. Then literally none of that matters.
Okay, well,
it doesn't matter at
all.
all.
It's the ice court, not the ice palace. It just came to me. But how all of these guys and gals can like break into the ice court and do all this crazy stuff and somehow get out alive against thousands of trained warriors, and they're all teenagers. I'm sorry, this is the Goonies. It's not going to work like that. So, hate.
I saw that complaint before for other people. I don't get that. I get other ones, like character flaws I get, where it's just like, this person's too perfect or this is unrealistic. But to be like, oh, the age thing.
You know what I hate? You're pre-researching my hates
to
come back on me. You're pre-researching. I hate that. Don't pre-research me.
No, that was the only... I saw reviews, because this is a 4.5 on Goodreads.
Yeah, it's a great book.
And I was like... And I'm like, oh, I wonder what people don't like about it. Maybe it's just like a too YA for people or something. And then people are like, oh, it's so unrealistic that they're this young doing this stuff. I'm like, what? Who cares?
Don't get me wrong.
Like, what does that matter?
I'm looking for hates here.
If we were watching a movie and they're 17, I agree. But it's in my head. I make the characters up in my head. What do I care if they're 17 or
Buddy,
not?
this is Spy Kids. This is what this is. It's just a bunch of fucking kids taking on the world's most dangerous criminals. It's Spy Kids.
That's fair.
Yeah. It's baby geniuses.
I'm trying to think of a counter. I mean, kid, you read Mitch Rapp's origin story. That book was not that good, but he was the best of all time when he was like 22.
Yeah, of course
You're going to question Mitch Rapp? You going to question Mitch Rapp now?
Mitch Rapp was 7 feet tall and shoot fireballs from his arms.
I mean, I'm guessing William Wallace was like 18.
No, but it's not a hate. It's just, I'm just trying to say.
William Wallace literally is 35, kid. So basically he was battling when he was like 20.
Yeah, of course he was. But that's Scotland.
Sons of Scotland.
Listener mail, what do we got?
You've got mail.
Nikki from Nashville, which I like the alliteration.
I like the
there.
alliteration very much myself.
Okay, so in the book, Inej climbs up the heated shaft all the way to the top. Would you rather?
God.
Pardon? Would you rather have that journey, like her feet melting on her shoes and whatnot? I'm adding my own context here. Yeah. The Shawshank Redemption.
Hers.
See, I actually disagree with that because I think the first 5 minutes or first like minute in the
poop tunnel.
Yeah, it would be the worst minute of your life. You throw up like 6 times, and then after that, it'd be normalized. You're like, I'm just walking.
Yeah, well, the human body is quite amazing in that it normalizes stuff quite quickly. It's amazing and it's bad because like when wonderful things are happening to us, we like we normalize those and we don't appreciate the little things. But a shit tunnel, and I mean like when I mean tunnel, I don't mean like the tunnel like Shelob's lair. I mean a pipe. Like I am claustrophobic as well. I just wouldn't be able to make it. Like I would just die. I would curl up in the shit ball and die.
That'd be the worst place to die.
Yeah, exactly. And my story would be that I died in the shit too.
The Nash thing is worse because it's physical pain. So you basically have to. Have you ever like had to hold something that's super heavy, like moving a couch, but it's like 90 degrees in the summer, and your arms are getting more and more and more tired, and you start to feel a little drop of sweat coming down from your forehead, and you can't scratch it.
Yeah,
that was her for like going up a fucking tunnel, having to physically exert herself for that long.
I understand.
And if you sneeze, you die.
I understand.
Like, that would be 1,000
You
times
tell
worse
me
to
the whole argument. I get it. There's
Yeah.
nothing. My biggest fear is that poop tunnel. It's literally my biggest fear. So
well, I think it was a good question. I think listeners call in, let us know, email in, let us know which tunnel you'd be really rather go up or down.
Yeah.
The poop tunnel or the poop chute or the
And the poop chute is definitely down. I guess we can cast the movie. We'll talk about it. But so Netflix adapted Leigh Bardugo's Shadow and the Bone trilogy and Six of Crows into a series. Many of the characters are present, but I don't think they've done this particular story yet.
Yeah, they're going to do I think this season they're doing one.
So
they're setting it up.
That's the second season?
Yeah.
So the first season was this other Shadow and Bone stuff.
Shadow and Bone.
How many characters from this book are in there?
I think all of them were in it. I think they showed basically the backstories of all the characters almost. So they're all in it somehow in the universe. It was fine. It was very, very PG.
Yeah.
It was very. It was made for like young adult. It was made for like 13-year-olds. Like it wasn't made. I want Kaz to be fucking dirty hands, but they made him like super mushy. I'm really I'm hard on the outside, but that's because I have feelings. You know, it's like, come on.
He's
Kaz is cutthroat.
Yeah, exactly. God, we're on the same page today.
So I did recast it, but since I'm not, I have a brain. I can see these characters as older than 18, and so I made them fucking normal ages. I just said, no, I'm gonna do whatever I thought they were in my head.
Yeah.
So, and I'll give you a perfect example because this is what I thought when I was reading the whole time. Matthias, that's Jason Momoa. That's who it is. That's the character. Yeah. So that's who I was thinking of the whole time. I didn't think of an 18-year-old. I just thought, Jason Momoa is being like is a fucking huge, fucking manly, attractive dude that is 35, 40 in real life. You might be older than that. I don't know.
Jason Momoa also with like the white hair because he's got like white hair, the Fjerdan, who are really just like Norwegian. Really, that would be cool to see. With his beautiful eyes, I'd be into it. I'd be into it.
And I'll run through the other ones. Again, these are all not age specific. His counterpart, Nina Zenik, Scarlett Johansson, voluptuous, flirty. I mean, it's just too easy. It's really too easy.
I think Nina's a little bit huskier than Scarlett Johansson.
What does that mean?
She's got more meat on the bone.
She's a wolf? Oh, does she?
Yeah.
I thought, isn't Scarlett Johansson voluptuous? That's the word I think.
Yeah, I would think that, but I also think that it's not. I think the cast doesn't necessarily need to be like the most beautiful of people. Like I think.
Well, she's supposed to be a seductress.
That's true. Okay.
Like she turned a dude that could not be turned. All right, you better accept it. Kaz is. Give me Jake Gyllenhaal from the movie Prisoners. Give me that version. That's who I want Kaz to be. You know what I'm talking
about? Jake Gyllenhaal from The Prisoners. I haven't seen it.
You haven't seen Prisoners, really? That's
add it to the list?
That is. That's move that to the top of the list. That's one of my favorite. I really think that's a really good movie. Yeah, he's like just a psycho in that. Him and Hugh Jackman both are
Oh,
great in that.
like them both. Okay, go on.
Jasper Will Smith. I mean, give me Will Smith from Wild Wild West. That's who this is.
Wiki
Big
wiki
wig-
wah, wiki wah wah.
Jim West, Desperado, Rough Rider. And then Inej, I just did, I'm going to butcher this name, Dilshad Vadasaria. She's in, I just think I watched her in the TV show Greek way back when. So I don't know if you know that show. Or 30 Minutes or Less.
Dilshad Vasaria? Yeah, I see her on the
Dilshad,
I see her on the internet.
I just remember her from those shows. I liked her.
Checks out. That's a deep pull. Good for you. That's a deep pull.
Thank you. That's what I was picturing in my mind. So I didn't do Wiling just because I think anyone could be Wiling, honestly.
I think that's a good cast. Let's get $200 million behind this thing. And
That's what we need. We don't need this mushy shit.
So, Six of Crows, Keith, would you recommend it to listeners and friends? Maybe around the Thanksgiving table.
Yeah, I really liked it. I mean, I suggested it, so obviously I'm going to say it's great. I'm putting it in my top 10. It's going in top 10. I'll have to determine where that is. I think could it be number 5 spot, potentially number 4?
Oh.
I liked it a lot. So I like this world building. I like the fast pacedness. I like the audiobook's amazing, I think.
Yeah,
It just really brings it to life. But yeah, I'm a big proponent.
I like the book. I'd recommend it. I don't think it breaks my top 10 because it doesn't finish. You know, I need a book that finishes because now I got to read the next one, you know?
Yeah, I'll give you that. It did finish the treasure hunt.
Yeah, the
aspect,
heist.
which
The heist. I thought it was a good book. I would totally recommend it. I think it's a fantasy beach read.
It's the only kind I like, baby.
Yeah. So even though it's 16 hours, it goes by pretty fast. And the story itself was fun. The characters are great. I mean, I thought it had a lot of interesting messaging too, where it was like not in your face and it was just like, hey, there's this heist, and it makes you actually think about stuff. So I like that too, you know, all of it. Cool. So yeah, Six of Crows. Definitely read it, peeps. Definitely read it. And we're moving on next. We're going to stay in the fantasy verse and in the YA, maybe even more YA, OG YA. And we're going to be reading J.R.R. Tolkien's The Hobbit, which Keith recommended this, and I think this was his biggest mistake because if we're reading The Hobbit, he left the door open. He left the door wide open for a 12 episode Lord of the Rings pod.
Do you know who is the audiobook narrator, by the way?
For The Hobbit?
Yeah.
No, who is it?
It's your boy, Andy Serkis.
Oh, what? That must be the new
Yeah.
one. That's amazing. If we're listening or reading The Hobbit next, I'm going to read it because I have a hard copy. So, although the Andy Serkis sounds really good, shit, we'll see how it works out. But yeah, cool. Well, happy Thanksgiving. Always good to talk to you. To everyone out there, happy Thanksgiving.
Bye now.
Bye now.